Welcome, listeners, to Cosmic Confluence, where we dive deep into the realms of energy, consciousness, and spiritual connection. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are exploring how meditation can raise your vibration and help you connect with spirit. And to help me in this incredible conversation is the incredible Chris Lippincott, an international psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and best selling author. Now, let me share a bit about Chris with all of your listeners. He has transformed countless lives by bringing healing messages from spirit, reminding us that we are never truly alone. And today on the Cosmic Conference, he'll be sharing how meditation not only shifts our energy, but it also enhances our ability to communicate with the spiritual realm. So, if you have ever wondered how to deepen your connection with spirit, stay tuned because this episode is definitely for you and it's going to be a really, really interesting and enlightening one. So, Chris, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute pleasure having you with us.
Well, thank you, Sana. It's an absolute pleasure being here.
Okay, so Chris, you often speak about raising our vibration to connect with the spirit. Now, after having so many conversations, I got to understand, and in fact, it's true that, our soul is energy. And, scientifically speaking, energy is something which cannot be created or it cannot be destroyed. It's just, transforming or moving from one body to another body or any physical entity. So, can you explain in this how meditation plays a key role in raising this vibration to connect with the spirit?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the first concept to begin to get our arms around is what meditation does just to our mind alone. Because for us to be able to open up to spirit and to be able to comprehend, hear, feel, connect with spirit, we have to get our everyday conscious mind, our ego mind, that logical, analytical mind that's always yapping constantly 24/7. And we've got to basically turn down the volume of that. We'll always get little inklings of something, but our loud ego mind basically talks over it. So how do we do that? If you're, for example, thinking back to your grade school and it's springtime, you're looking out the window and you just begin to daydream what it's going to be like to be outdoors, and you're looking out the window and you're like, oh, I want to be out in the grass. I want to be out in the field. Like I see that playground. And you begin to envision yourself out on that playground. Your mind is no longer in that classroom, is it? Your mind is out in that playground. Your teacher will start yelling at you to come back into the classroom. Your body may be there, but your mind is not. So that's the same thing with meditation. You're literally taking your mind out of this present state where your ego brain is constantly yapping away and you're going somewhere else. You're basically allowing your consciousness to travel to a different place, different state, different existence. So meditation allows the mind to quiet down, because if we're constantly yapping all the time, we can't hear ourselves think. We can't hear spirit think. We can't get anything that's coming in. So meditation really quiets the mind and allows that quiet space for the very subtle connection with
Mm.
spirit, because spirit's not going to come over and beat you over the head with a broomstick. It's going to be very, very subtle. So we have to open ourselves and tune ourselves and tune all of our listening abilities, as our parents used to say, turn on your listening ears. That's
Mm.
basically what we got. That's what we have to do with spirit. We have to quiet that loud ego mind to open ourselves up to the connections with spirit.
Mm. So it is overall silencing our mind, and I think at the same time it's also tuning to a different frequency. And I think when we generally talk about meditation, we often think about sitting in a quiet place, closing our eyes, and just no thoughts, nothing, just mind is blank. But naturally, when somebody is starting for the first time to meditate, natural to have a barrage of thought, that voices, tend to listen to or hear voices in our mind. Oh, okay, I'm thinking about which happened, 10 days back, or oh my God, what will happen to me after 5 days? Okay, what is my target when I'm meditating? Something like that. Um,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, you hit on a perfect point because that's really the primary reason so many people give up meditation after a couple of days. They think, "Oh, my mind has to be absolutely silent. Oh, my mind has to have no thoughts, and I'm not allowed to have anything passing through my brain." Well, if that was the case, then you wouldn't be alive. By the sheer fact that you're a sentient being who's alive and breathing, you're going to have thoughts. There's nothing wrong with thoughts. If anything, be accepting of the thoughts, just be okay with the fact that you're going to have a thought. But the trick is, don't engage with the thought because, yeah, sure, you may have that thought that suddenly pops up. Oh, hey, wow, did I feed the cat? But just don't engage with it. It's the analogy I often use is like it's a train that your thought is like a train that comes into the station, opens its doors, and people get on and off. You just have to stand on the platform, watch the doors open and close, and watch the train leave. So watch your thought come in, acknowledge it, let it go. And then if you feel that your mind has lost focus, which is going to happen, bring yourself back to center. Focus on something again. Focus on your breathing. Focus on your mantra. Focus on the sound. Focus on whatever it was that brought you back to center when you first started your meditation. I usually start my meditations by allowing myself to focus on my breathing because that calms me down. Sometimes I'm doing a mantra that calms me down. Sometimes I'm listening to a visualization meditation where I'm just listening to the music. Whatever it is that gets you centered and grounded again, go back to that place, and you'll notice that your thoughts will just disappear.
Rightly said, rightly said. And I also have seen, people meditating through art or music or dance. So many forms that can be explored. So that's really, really beautiful. And also, I love how you use practical, simple examples to create that, to effectively share the essence or message of why how meditation can be effective. So that's really, really great, Chris. And also, moving on, um, although meditation can be purely spiritual, but since we're talking about energy, spirit, there is also science behind the vibrational frequency. So, can you break down how our energy shifts when we meditate and what that means for our ability to, maybe receive spiritual messages?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, one of the things that actually finally got me over the hurdle of being a total skeptic as I started having these spiritual experience into being a fully acceptant spiritual person because I came from a very materialist background. I used to be on Wall Street, so you can't get much more skeptical than that. Eventually turning inward into becoming a medium. So I had to have something I could grasp onto, and that was quantum physics. I didn't know much about it, but I started learning a little bit about it, and I started understanding everything about energy. And as many listeners might know, and as you explained at the opening of the show, is that everything in existence is energy. It's just at a different vibratory state. The perfect example is thinking of good old H2O. When you freeze it, it turns into a block of ice. Why? Because the molecules in that state are moving so slowly. They become dense and hard, and we see something that's very solid, just like us. So we're in that very slow vibration state. So we become this slow, solid thing, very much like a block of ice. But what happens when you heat that block of ice. It melts. What's happening to molecules? They're increasing their vibration state, their oscillation, their frequency. It's rising. And you keep on doing that, and eventually the water turns to steam. Vibration rises even higher. What happens when you heat steam? Turns into plasma. Frequency and oscillation rates going up even higher. And until you keep on raising these vibrations until it turns into a non-physical state. So these are just different states of beings, states of existence, and all energies continues to rapidly increase. And you can look at the human body, and your eyes look at it, and you say, "Oh, well, this is a physical thing." You can put your fingers together, and you think they're touching, and you're like, "Oh, okay, look, I'm a physical thing. I'm touching." The reality is you're never actually touching, because according to electron repulsion, when you get down to a quantum state, you're taking your electrons down to a space of about 10 to the minus 8, if I remember the number correctly, where electrons can never actually touch. It's like magnets. You have the same polarity of the ends of magnets. Remember when you were a kid, you used to try to
Yeah.
press the magnets together, but you could never get them to touch. They will never touch. Same thing with electrons. They have the same polarity. They will never touch. So what you're actually feeling is the force of the two sets of electrons pressing against each other. You're not actually touching anything. And that's what all we are. We are only energy. 99.99999% of everything in existence is nothing but empty space filled with energy. And as we're energy, we too have different vibration states. So going back to meditation, when we meditate and we begin to allow ourselves to elevate beyond what our conscious mind is used to, as we kind of drag our knuckles on this dirty ground of what we call earth, right? Our consciousness starts to expand. It starts to increase. It starts to have a frequency escalation. And at that point, we begin to open ourselves up and receive what is only possible at a higher frequency. So we're starting to expand. We're starting to increase our vibration state. At the same time, spirit's starting to connect with us. And because we've pushed our ego mind out to the side, we're now open and available to be connected to spirit. Spirit starts to connect with us. We'll feel vibrations. We'll feel a slight energy shift. We'll feel, maybe some people have they'll experience a temperature change. All these little things. Maybe they'll feel something in their feet. It's different for every person. But when they feel that subtle energy shift, because again, spirit's not going to hit you over the head with a broomstick. It's all going to be very subtle, but you'll feel something. You'll know something. And it's not like they're going to be yelling in your ear saying, "Hey, I'm here." No, that's
Mhm.
not the way it works. We're getting this subtle shift because we're having an increase in the energy, and we're connecting with energy, and spirit's coming, and suddenly we're having this energetic connection.
Wow, wow, that's a really great explanation, Chris. Also, as you mentioned about your journey as well, initially you were skeptic towards meditation and all this concept of energy and coming from a materialistic world. I think our listeners would be really, really interested to know a bit about your journey. How exactly that transformation or transition happened for you?
Yeah. Well, I often think to myself, as I kind of look back on it, why did it happen? And the more I realize, the more I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is perfect because this is great for, anybody who wants to experience it. Because when years ago, I was on Wall Street, I was a financial analyst, and everything that I did, you had to prove it, you had to, vet it, you had to make sure everything was 100% accurate. And, the mentality of Wall Street, obviously, you're very materialistic, and, it's this greed, and it's this, working 90-hour weeks, and you're just going crazy. So when I was on Wall Street, I was like losing my mind. I was getting completely overstressed. And I started taking out my friends and family. So I started thinking, I got to do something to de stress. And I ran across these different ideas. And one of them was what at the time was a very foreign concept. I heard something called meditation. I'm like, what's this meditation thing? I can't do that. Don't you have to be like some guru up in the Hindu Kush and with shaved head and you gotta like be up there in an ashram for years? I'm like, I can't do that. And it was totally foreign to me. But then I ran across this audio track that was really calm, really mellow, and I didn't have an agenda. I was like, oh, gee, maybe I can try this. So I started listening to this short 10-minute audio track, and I started realizing, oh, okay, well, maybe this is a version of meditation. I don't know. Let's see what happens. And I started listening to this meditation track, for 10 minutes every morning before I went to work. And I started finding myself getting very relaxed. I'm like, oh, hey, gee, this is kind of nice. I think I'll keep doing it. But, I didn't really understand exactly what I was doing other than the fact that it felt good. And so I would do this every morning before I go to work. And I wound up doing it for 12 months because I got addicted to it. I couldn't stop. I couldn't go to work without it. I was like so um, in love with this track that I had to do it every single day. But I wasn't thinking, "Okay, I have to achieve, I have to, you know, do this." It was more because it felt really, really good. That's the key to meditation. You wanna make sure that you enjoy it, right? It's not something that you have to do. If it's something you have to do, you're gonna wind up not wanting to do it. So I really enjoyed it, so I kept on doing it. But at the end of this 12-month period, in my man cave, because every guy's gotta have his man cave, right? And I'm doing a meditation. I do the long version of the meditation for about 30 minutes. And all of a sudden, I started having this out of body experience. And as my eyes were closed, I see these, vaporous apparition type people in my mind's eye, four of them, two on my left, two on my right, and the guy all the way on my right. And for some reason, I knew these people. I don't know why. I felt like I knew them, but I didn't know who they were. It was really weird. But the person all the way on my right was much bigger than the rest, and he shot this beam of energy through my chest, out through my back, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not asleep. What's going on? I can actually feel this physically." And as that happened, I had this even further out of body experience where I'm basically taken out to what you might refer to as, this view of outer space or somewhere in outer space with stars and calmness. But what was amazing was that as I was out there, I felt like I was connected to everything. The example I use is kind of like I was a thread of a giant tapestry that had no end. We were all interwoven. We were all interconnected. There was this feeling of unity, that everything was the same and everything was woven together, and we're all part of the same thing. And as I continued to get out there, I started receiving this overpowering feeling of just absolute unconditional love. And the human word love is like the top 1% of the iceberg that you see floating above the surface. This um, overpowering unconditional love was like the other 99% that's below the water that we never experience. It's like the human word love can't even begin to describe what this felt like. I was like, it was so powerful. I had tears coming down my face. Um, and this feeling, I don't know if it was, I don't remember if it was words or it was just knowing this, just this understanding started coming into my awareness of you are perfect. You are perfect. You are perfect the way you are. And I refuse to accept it 'cause I'm like, you don't know what I've done in my life. I have done so many bad things. I cannot be perfect. There's not there. I'm the least perfect human on the planet. I was having trouble expecting it, but it kept on coming. You're perfect. You're perfect. And this beautiful unconditional love. And I was like, and then eventually after like, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes, I came out of it and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And all of a sudden, soon after that, I started having all these experiences that I had back when I was a child. Like I could sense that there were people nearby me, but I couldn't see them. I could hear voices, but there was nobody around me. I knew people were trying to connect with me, right, and they were right next to me. And I could feel their energy, but there was nobody nearby. And I started thinking to myself, "Oh my God, I'm going crazy," because there are only two kinds of people who can do this: either incredible gurus or crazy people. I must be crazy. Oh no. And so for the longest time, I thought to myself, I'm having a mental breakdown. I've been working too hard. But then I
Mhm.
started doing investigations and I started realizing, oh my gosh, this is what mediumship is all about. And then I started taking classes in mediumship and learning that, yes, this is a natural ability that everybody's got. You just have to open to it. And here's how to work with it. And so I started over the course of years, working with mentors as they basically unfolded and developed my mediumship. And it was at that point that it just kind of like took off like a roller coaster and, the portal was reopened. And that's, when I started working with spirit. Cause, once you open that door and you start practicing it and you start allowing it and
Mhm.
trusting it and surrendering to it, that's when the
Mhm.
magic happens.
Wow, wow. What a journey. What a journey. What an experience. And how beautifully you picturized everything with words. Yeah, I think this, I mean, I can't even define the emotions you have had during those experiences. So, Chris, before we wrap up, I think not everyone has, hours to meditate, long hours to meditate. So, are there any specific techniques or practices you would recommend for, raising vibration quickly, and maybe connecting with spirit in a short amount of time, if possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say the first thing to understand is consistency is more important than duration. If you're able to meditate 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day and do it as often as you can, maybe every day, maybe every other day, because we've all got 10 minutes here and there, right?
Yeah.
If you're able to just sit down in meditation, listen to a guided meditation track that calls to you, that resonates with you, that you enjoy, and that's the key part is enjoy. If you're able to do that for 10 minutes every day or so, and you do this for an extended period of time, try to do it for 6 months, 12 months, you will just start to see the changes just dramatically turn. You'll become more relaxed. You'll become more open. You'll become your understanding of forgiveness. You won't even realize that you're doing it, but you'll start to become more forgiving. You'll start to become more understanding. You'll start to become into this place where you're becoming more empathetic and understanding of other people, and that you're going to become there's more love that fills into your being, and the greater love that fills into your being, the more love you're attracting to you, not only in the physical, but in the non-physical. You're going to start attracting the love from spirit as a result.
Mm, yeah, that's really, really, I think, very practical and very logical advice and very helpful. So, I think definitely consistency matters more than the duration. So, with that, Chris, if our listeners would wish to connect with you, seek your help, your wisdom uh, in inculcating meditation as a daily practice in their life, and also they would wish to know more about, the trance mediumship and how they can connect with spirit, how they can do that.
Yeah, well, if people are interested, they can certainly connect with me via email. First off, it's chris@montclairmedium.com. Or if they want to learn more about me, they can go to my website, which is www.montclairmedium.com, all one word. And there I've got, my journey, all about me. I've got, different lots of articles and, there's a school on the website, the mediumship recordings on the website, all different kinds, kind of my favorites, like everything from visualizations to clarity to meditations that will help you become more of a clear channel, as well as those kind of meditations that will help clear your chakras, which is very important.
Yep. Yep. Great. We'll have all the details in the show notes for our listeners. And Chris, thank you so much for this such an interesting, enriching, and enlightening conversation. We had, great examples and such an interesting journey. And thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on meditation and spirit connection.
Oh, thank you so much, Sana. It was such a wonderful experience being here.
Yeah. And for all of our listeners, thank you to all of you for tuning into Cosmic Confluence. And if today's conversation connected with you, it definitely did with me, then don't forget to subscribe to us, share this episode, and also let us know how we are doing because it helps us bring amazing conversations with amazing guests like Chris for Cosmic Conference. And remember that your vibration is in your hands and know that the universe is always listening. Until next time, keep your energy high and your spirit open. Thank you.